Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital spoilers. Sonny and Rick's bitter reunion fraught with anger over Kristina, and Molly has both sets of siblings have a showdown. General Hospital. GH spoilers disclose that Sonny Corinthos, Morris Bernard, and Rick Lansing's Rick Hurst bitter reunion will be fraught with anger over their daughters, Kristina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mancy, and Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaganos. Kristina and Molly's mom, Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn, just got arrested for the murder of John Jagger Cates, Adam Harrington. Of course, we all know Alexis is innocent and that Sonny is the one who killed Agent Cates. Alexis was at the footbridge, disposing of the gun she discovered in Kristina's possession, when Rick and Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Hurst, saw Alexis toss the gun. Rick insisted they tell the police what they saw. Liz didn't want anything to do with it, but Rick forced her to go with him to the PCPD. After Alexis was detained the first time, Molly took it upon herself to meet with Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard, and give him reason to suspect Kristina. In the September 13 episode, Alexis was arrested and Max Scorpio, John J. York, took her to jail. Apparently, there was enough evidence to bring Alexis in. Kristina and Molly will indeed have it out next week over their mom, as Molly will pin all the blame on Kristina. Sonny's daughter did admit she wanted to kill Cates. But then again, so did most of Port Charles. Look for the two sisters to have an epic showdown. In the meantime, we fully expect Sonny and Rick to have a sibling showdown of their own. Kristina was a surrogate for Molly, but the child died after she crashed through the window at the Metro Court, plummeting 5 stories and landing in the pool. Molly blames Kristina for what happened to their baby, and Kristina says that she could never forgive Molly for accusing her of being responsible for baby Adela/Irene's death. The two sisters went ballistic on each other the day of the baby's funeral. Kristina dared to call her baby the name she chose for her. Rick is totally on Molly's side, and he will no doubt let Sonny know what he thinks of him and his daughter during a heated confrontation. By returning to town, Rick is likely after more than just his daughter's affection. He said he came back to support Molly, but there must be more to it than that. He could have returned any time within the past 8 years, but chose when Kristina and Molly were at odds. It's not even about their 2 respective daughters. Rick still has a vendetta against his brother. He wants to destroy Sonny and everyone who aligns with him, starting with Alexis. Rick saw an opportunity he couldn't pass up when he witnessed Alexis tossing that gun into the river. He didn't even bother to go to her and ask her why she had the gun. Instead, he chose to arouse the police's suspicion during the murder investigation of an FBI agent. Rick can't be trusted. One thing is certain, Sonny won't be afraid to put Rick in his place. The dim lighting in Charlie's pub added a layer of tension as Sonny Corinthos sat at the corner booth, his jaw clenched and his eyes staring ahead with a look of steely resolve. It had been years since he and his half-brother, Rick Lansing, crossed paths in a way that wasn't immediately filled with animosity. But things were different now, worse, more volatile. Kristina and Molly were at the heart of it all, and both brothers were unwilling to back down from what had become a simmering powder keg of emotions. Sonny took a deep breath, the silence of the pub settling in around him. He wasn't sure why he had agreed to meet Rick here, of all places. The estranged half-brother who had once almost destroyed Sonny's entire world was now calling him, practically begging to talk. Rick had left town years ago, his usual scheming nature barely contained during his time in Port Charles. Yet here they were, about to confront each other over family once again. As Sonny sipped his bourbon, the bell above the door chimed, and there he was, Rick Lansing, stepping inside with the same arrogant confidence Sonny despised. Rick's dark eyes scanned the room before they landed on Sonny, his face hardening into the familiar mask of disdain. "Sonny," Rick greeted coldly as he slid into the booth across from him. "Rick," Sonny replied, his voice tight. Neither spoke for a moment. The years of animosity, betrayal, and hurt hung heavily between them like an invisible barrier. But this wasn't about their long-standing rivalry. No, this was about Kristina and Molly, two women they both loved fiercely. The sisters had found themselves caught in a personal and familial battle, and as usual, the actions of their fathers had amplified the stakes. Rick was the first to break the silence, leaning forward, his eyes narrowing. "We need to talk about Molly. She's been through hell, and now this whole situation with Kristina is making things worse." Sonny leaned back, his face unreadable, but his eyes sharp. "Molly's your daughter, Rick. But Kristina, she's mine. And whatever's going on between them doesn't need you stirring the pot." Rick scoffed, crossing his arms. "Stirring the pot? I'm not the one who's constantly pushing Kristina to the edge. Ever since she got involved with that cult." "Watch it," Sonny cut him off, his voice low and dangerous. "You don't know the whole story. You never did. Kristina's stronger than you give her credit for, and she doesn't need you or anyone else questioning her choices. She's been through hell too." "That's exactly the problem, Sonny," Rick shot back, his voice rising. "She keeps making reckless choices, and it's affecting Molly. You think you're protecting Kristina, but all you're doing is enabling her self-destructive behavior. She dragged Molly into her chaos, and now my daughter's paying the price." Sonny's jaw tightened, his fists clenching under the table. "You don't get to judge her. Not after all the crap you pulled. You've hurt her just as much as anyone else." Rick's eyes flashed with anger, but he forced himself to remain calm. "I'm not denying I've made mistakes. But this isn't about me. It's about them. Molly's marriage is on the rocks because she's trying to keep peace between us, and Kristina keeps pulling her into these toxic situations." Sonny's eyes darkened as he took a deep breath. "And you think you're any better? Molly's trying to protect you from yourself, Rick. She knows what you're capable of. You don't get to play the concerned father now." The tension between them was palpable, like a thick fog that clouded their judgment. Years of resentment bubbled to the surface, and it seemed as though this confrontation was only the beginning. Meanwhile, across town, Kristina and Molly were locked in a confrontation of their own. The usually calm and collected Molly was seething with frustration, pacing back and forth in her apartment as Kristina stood with her arms crossed, looking both defensive and hurt. "You don't understand, Molly," Kristina began, her voice breaking. "I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't want to drag you into my problems, but—" "No, Kristina, you never ask," Molly interrupted, her voice shaking with emotion. "But somehow I always end up cleaning up the mess. I've been there for you every single time, and now it's cost me everything. TJ doesn't even want to talk to me anymore because I keep getting involved in your drama." Kristina's eyes filled with tears, but she stood her ground. "I'm sorry, Molly. I never wanted to come between you and TJ, but I needed you. You're my sister. What was I supposed to do?" Molly stopped pacing and turned to face her, her expression softening slightly. "I love you, Kristina. You're my sister, and I'll always be there for you. But you have to understand that your choices have consequences. I'm not just your safety net. I have my own life, and right now it's falling apart because I'm trying to save you from yourself." Kristina blinked back tears, her defenses crumbling. "I don't know how to fix it, Molly. I'm scared." For a moment, the sisters stood in silence, the weight of their shared pain heavy between them. Molly's frustration ebbed, replaced by a deep sense of sadness. She took a step forward and pulled Kristina into a hug. "We'll figure it out," Molly whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "But we have to stop letting Dad and Rick make things worse. This isn't just about them. It's about us." Kristina nodded against her sister's shoulder, clinging to her as the enormity of the situation settled in. Back at Charlie's pub, Sonny and Rick were still staring each other down, their conversation escalating into a bitter war of words. But the truth was clear, neither of them was willing to back down when it came to their daughters. And as much as they despised each other, they knew that Kristina and Molly's futures depended on their next moves. Rick narrowed his eyes at Sonny, his voice filled with venom. "You always thought you knew best, didn't you? But look at the mess you've made. Kristina's spiraling, Molly's caught in the crossfire, and it's all because you can't see past your own ego." Sonny's eyes burned with anger, but he kept his voice low and steady. "You're right about one thing, Rick. This isn't about us anymore. It's about them. And I'll do whatever it takes to protect my daughter, even if that means going through you." The bitter reunion between Sonny and Rick was far from over. But the stakes had never been higher, and both brothers knew that the real battle had only just begun.